James Corbett with FML by Project Refit. So FML usually means fuck my life, but in this case, it means for my life. So we are going to talk with Officer Ashley Jones today, and she is going to get to a point. I didn't share this with her in the back room, but we're going to have to get to a point where we're going to say, hey, where did you get to a moment in your life where you were like, you know what? I am for my life. I want to do this. I want to support people in this way. And I really am proud of myself for this. This is my purpose, right? And we like to dig in and get to know who we're speaking with. And with all of that said, Ashley, tell us a quick intro of you, and then we'll kind of jump into conversation.
I guess a super quick intro would be that I'm a full-time police officer in Central New York, and I also have my own business. It's life coaching for first responders. The actual business I created last year, and it's called
That's
Project
cool.
Coaching. Um, I kind of have labeled myself as a mental and physical growth expert.
Okay,
I have a dog.
let's go. Dogs are important.
Sure. He's like my therapy dog, but I'm not sure what else you really want to know for an intro.
Oh, that's it. That's good. That was perfect. So I just got back from a gang conference last week. It was really awesome. I get to spend time with, police officers and gang investigators and things like that. And I learned so much from those guys, dude. I love those guys, man. They're awesome.
They're rough.
Oh my God. They're the best. So where are you actually? Like, you don't have to give us the exact police department if you don't like, but just what state are you from? I mean, where are you from?
Yep. So Central New York. This is
Okay.
where I'm from. This is where I grew up. It is close to Utica, New York, and that's all I'll give.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's cool. Yeah, I actually so being down in Georgia, the Georgia gang investigators, those guys are I'm sure they're the same way up by you. Like, just they are a different breed of officer, you know?
Yeah.
Uh and it's cool because it's like they know they are and they wear that like a badge of honor. And
Sure.
yeah, it's cool, man. So listen, I would love to know when you talk about things like growth expert and mental health and all those things, could you take me through why you came to that, why you wanted to do that?
Um, Kind of came down to a point where I needed to be my own hero, and continuously I want to try to create a life that I don't have to escape from.
Hmm.
Believe that the whole process and switch for me started when I went to college. But I've had to do many pivots along the way, and I've grown through different situations along the way as well. But I do believe that it would have started right when I went to college.
Wow. Okay. um and what about it when it started? What really started? What was going on in your life that really led to that?
I was tired of being bullied, so you probably can't tell from looking at me, but I actually used to be at 236 pounds. And now my body is around like 170. But at one point, I had lost over 100 pounds, and I just did all of that stuff on my own through hard work and consistency. But that's the one point. So initially, I did it to prove others wrong, and then I just started doing stuff for me instead.
Cool. That's good. That's a very selfless act of you to do that for yourself because it ended up making you better for others, right? That's fantastic. I love that. Um, being that you were, heavyweight and you were being bullied as you just shared, how did that affect you? Like your mindset, like when you were younger, and what did you struggle with depression and such because of that?
Oh yeah, and I still have it. So I was interviewed on another podcast as well. We were talking about like inner child wounds, like the shit that happened to you when you were little, that carries throughout your whole entire adulthood. So when I was little, I had anxiety, depression, low confidence, low self esteem. So
Yeah.
imagine trying to fix that in your 20s. Like it's a lot of work. So
Yeah, yeah. It definitely is a lot of work to believe now. What's up, Pete? Good to see you. Also, by the way, Ashley, we're gonna have people that jump in and talk to us. He's on Instagram, and his Instagram messages don't pop up here for us.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to read some messages to you. And
Sure.
this one came from Pete, and he said hi,
Nice.
with a little heart. So Pete is a Marine, and he's the man. So
Nice.
um, wow. Yeah. I have a little bit of experience with, the self-esteem stuff and like, getting bullied and everything. So I have red hair, like that's a common when you're a redhead. That's like the common thing of growing up is everybody's going to mess with you. You know what I mean? You have to grow thick skin or you're just not going to be able to get through the world. And I'm grateful that I had the friends that I have because they were ruthless. And it's really awesome that, I've gotten to the point now where it's like if you're not being ruthless towards me, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like let's be a little let's actually joke around, not take ourselves too seriously. I think that's like it's a growth thing, right? Like you have to learn how to grow up kind of deal.
Sure.
So when did you really recognize that you had to do that? You said that you worked out, you got to the point where you're doing it. Well, you started out like, I'm going to prove you wrong, whoever you is. And
Yeah.
then it was, I'm doing this for me now. I mean, was that really where the shift happened in your whole head? And do you think that that experience for yourself gives you the almost like the understanding of how to help other people grow? Like, do you have a process around that?
Sure. So, in regards to what was your first question? Um, when the shift happened, like why I chose to do that for myself. Is that
Hmm.
correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I realized that even though I went to college, the bullies still followed me. Like the bullies just didn't stop. So like I said, did that to prove them wrong at first. But then for me, I wanted a career in law enforcement. You can't be a hefty Hannah in law enforcement. You're not going to pass anything.
Right.
So I
Right.
started to do that for myself. Um, but I don't remember your second question that was leading up to that. A
What?
process.
Yeah. Like, do you have like, did you develop a process that gives you the insight to be able to do this? Like, why, like, how are you this? You said you're a self-acclaimed expert in doing this, right? And
Yeah,
it's like, why?
sure. So my process is not going to be the same process for everybody else. I've
Cool.
found stuff that has worked for me along the way, a lot of things that don't work for me along the way. What helped me a lot to gain knowledge and insight was other people, other mentors, other coaches. I
Very
started
cool.
reading books. I tapped into myself. I started listening to podcasts. Those really, really helped me to grow. I think the first book that I read that really like pushed me was called You Are a Badass. And I'm like, oh, you're right. I am a badass. Let me start doing that. So, and then another book that was very helpful to me was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So that one was helpful as well.
Yeah, he
But
had a weight loss journey himself too, right?
yeah, yep. So I think for the start of my process, that is what really pushed me and motivated me to move forward because you can have motivation, but you have to also be determined because your motivation is going to fade. So you have to set goals for yourself and be extremely determined on reaching those goals.
Right. Yeah, I I guess when it comes down to goal setting, that's I was actually thinking like it sounds like you're talking about if I'm picking it up and I obviously yes, we that's what you were saying is you have to create like goals for yourself, create the plan to get to them, create like a because you talk about discipline and you talk about doing this for me and like getting out there and working out, like that takes a plan. That's not just something that you wake up and just start doing. You have to change your life. Like you're
Yeah,
like what you're enjoying. You have to make yourself enjoy and learn how you enjoy eating healthy. I have eggs and a peach right next to me right now. Like you have to just like teach yourself to enjoy eating good and eating healthy, right? Not overeating even the healthy stuff because if you overeat healthy stuff, then it's also a problem. So balance and all of that. Like how do you teach that? How do you as Ashley show other people to balance things appropriately? Like what did you pick up from those books? That's the question. What did you pick up from those books in your learning to teach people balance?
I don't think I learned anything within the books to teach balance per se. The balance is something that I had to establish for myself, and I still have to work on that every single day because life is ever changing. So, what could be balance
Yeah.
yesterday might not be my balance for today. Um, in regards to setting the SMART goals, like the specific, measurable, attainable, those type of goals, I think that was something I just picked up, and it's just something that I work towards.
Take me through that. What is smart? What is smart goals?
It's literally just taking your huge goal. So, say for instance, my huge goal at that time was to become in law enforcement. That's a huge goal. But how do I
Yeah,
break that down? I went to college, got a degree, I had to lose weight. And within that losing weight category, you also have to break it down into smaller goals. I can't just go out and run a marathon. I've got to start small and build up.
yeah,
Um, and then the healthy eating, the healthy diet. So, just to break it down into layman's terms, a SMART goal is something small out of that big goal so you can reach that big goal towards the end.
yeah. That makes sense. I think I've seen a like an image before where it's steps, and your first step is huge, and then actually like it's broken down to little steps you have to build to get to even to the first step of yours, right? In the big grand scheme of things, or the big goal, if you will. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So is that what you teach? Is that the process then that you teach to people?
I don't. So, from a coaching aspect,
Yeah,
what I coach on is what that person is looking towards. But yes, we do touch upon the SMART goals. And within those goals, it also helps to bring resiliency, because you're going to have a lot of setbacks along the way. You're not just going to be able to be like, oh, this is my goal and I'm definitely going to get it. Like, life's going to come and hit you, but you still got to be determined to move forward. So that's kind of what we mainly focus on.
interesting. What is your like? I'm trying to what I'm trying to get at and dig at is the value, the difference. What like why the community you're focused on? You're serving. You said first responders, right? That's what you said you're serving.
Yes.
What is making you different from everybody else that does this?
Have experienced it. I didn't just go out and just say, let me coach first responders. I am a first responder and I've been through a thing or two, that helps me understand that first responder viewpoint.
Very cool. So it's because of it is your community. It is the people that you're working with directly, and you have a passion for them. I assume, like helping out others, to see them succeed, right?
Correct. And I'm helping. So when you're a police officer, you're mainly helping people on the street. I want
Yeah.
to help my fellow brothers and sisters realize that there is a life outside of policing.
Yes.
And there, and there's so many ways and so many beautiful things out there that you can do for yourself. And once you take care of yourself, you're going to be better able to help the people that you do serve.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I also get curious with law enforcement because you guys see so much. I mean,
Sure.
how long have you been in? How long have you been doing it?
Um, so I've been in law enforcement for 12 years, but I've been in law enforcement through different capacities, and I've only been a street cop for 7.
Wow. How's that been? What's been like a crazy
It's
call?
horrible.
It's horrible, right? Yeah, it's difficult, right?
Yeah, well, New York state laws suck. And then everyone's attitude towards cops these days is just not stellar. So it's an
Yeah.
adjustment, but I mean, I love helping people, so that's why I stay in. But
How cool is that?
it's definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah, I imagine it's got to be so difficult sometimes for being a police officer, like to like what is is this sacrifice worth it? Have you ever asked yourself that question before? Like, what is this
All the
sacrifice worth?
time.
Yeah,
All the time, because mainly, there's a lot of times where I would rather deal with criminals on the streets than the agencies themselves. Um, so
wow.
I ask myself all the time, is the stress, is the anxiety, is all this other stuff, post traumatic stress, is that worth it? And I'm still in law enforcement, but I try to just mainly focus on the good that I can do to help other people, and that's really what keeps me in it.
Interesting. What has to happen? Okay, before I ask that question, I have to actually preface it. What I'm hearing is you have to remind yourself and tell me if I'm wrong, obviously, please, like correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you have to on almost like a weekly basis remind yourself of the ways you are helping people, like how you are actually making a difference? Is that something that you have to do? And like, if you do, is there a call or a person in particular that you remember that you helped out that was like, I did it for this, or I do it for this outcome, for this feeling, for that person? Like, is there a certain call that keeps you going, or like, how do you, like,
Um,
what is the thought to keep you resilient?
so I wouldn't necessarily say that there's a specific call that's like, oh yeah, this is why I do what I do. It's more when I'm in the moment and something goes right.
You mean the
Um,
movies aren't real?
no, the movies aren't real. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
So, um, being in that moment where you're saving someone or someone's actually thanking you or you see a smile on someone's face,
yeah,
that's what keeps me going. It's those day-to-day encounters, not necessarily a specific one where I was heroic in nature.
right. Of
My brain doesn't seem to remember that good stuff. My brain only remembers the bad
course,
experiences.
yeah.
I have to constantly reframe my thoughts in that aspect. But
Yeah, the negativity bias, right?
yeah,
That's something that, we all struggle with. I feel like even me, like, even starting something up and like growing a business, it's hard to focus constantly on the positives. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, this, that. I mean, like, there's like a million things that are also coming along with it. And it's hard to, when you give so much of yourself to something, it's hard to separate the emotion away from the feeling that could be tricking you into thinking a negative way.
sure.
It's very, very difficult to do that. And I can empathize to a certain degree with that thought. And I think a lot of people can, because you're sacrificing a lot of your time for
Hmm.
for your community. But something that you said that I found really interesting, you actually mentioned you'd rather work with a criminal uh, instead of your own department sometimes.
Yeah.
Please take us down that rabbit hole. I think I understand what you're saying, because I've personally heard that, but tell us what you think and let everybody know what you mean by that.
Sure. So obviously, I can't go into too many details, but from
Yeah.
working with other and multiple different agencies, you'll notice that dealing with toxic people on the street is way easier to deal with because you're you have so many tools at your hands to fix the one situation that you're within. But these departments, they're so drama filled, toxic. Not all agencies care about your mental health. There's micromanaging. There's so many different things that go into the actual department itself. You're not going to get along with every officer that you work with. So sometimes that makes it more difficult on a call as well. So that's where I would rather deal with someone on the street rather than actually within a department, because you go on the street, you know the call and you know how to fix it. Whereas in
Yeah.
your agency, you can't always fix it. So,
Interesting. Wow. I just thought of with that, like, I'm imagining myself right now, like, my God, if I'm doing something, if I'm working with like a criminal, right? In my head, I'm working on something separate, but I'm going to try to make it into law enforcement, and I have to have a partner that I don't like, or a person that I don't like, come with me to help me solve this really tense situation. Oh my God, that has to be, you have to put on a smile for the community, right? Or you have to
yeah.
put on that professional demeanor for the community, but it has to be behind you, right? Like, you have to
Correct.
be thinking about, God, is this guy going to do something? Like, are they going to, like, I know this dude's attitude, or I know this girl's attitude. Like, is it going to, am I going to have to manage this person and this person? You have to
And
think about,
sometimes you do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow. What do you think would be a morning, Tanner Montana? Uh, how do you think you could make a difference? Like, let's say you're chief. We're gonna pretend. Is that okay if we pretend for a second? I don't want you to get in trouble with, like,
That's
okay,
okay. I like pretending, so it's fine.
okay. Let's pretend you're chief, right? What would you do that you think would make a difference for your agency? And it can be any idea, whether it's practical. or not? Like, what would you do?
I'm sorry, but you froze, so I didn't get to hear the question.
Damn,
Try
that
again.
sucks. Uh, so if you're chief, am I still here? Am I freezing? Are we losing? Are we losing people here? Did
Uh,
I get you back
I
now?
can. Yeah, you're good. There's been moments where it's frozen, but I think it could be on my end. Who knows?
Got it. Got it. Okay, so um, you're chief. How you making differences? How are you going to have your people, respond better and be better mentally?
Sure. Well, I've read a lot of leadership books, and leadership is kind of important to me because I've worked for a lot of bad leaders, and it just blows my mind because you can be a good person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're born to lead. And I think that's a huge thing. So if you are a leader, dive into some leadership podcasts and leadership books, and your whole world will be turned upside down, I'm sure. Especially if you're a bad leader, it's going to slap hard.
What is a
But
bad leader?
what is a bad leader? God, there's so many characteristics and traits of a bad leader. One of them would be just not caring about your employees. I know this is policing, but I can guarantee you that none of my past chiefs know anything about my personal life. Unless I have specifically told them something, they don't know me. They don't know what makes me tick. They don't know how I necessarily respond and react to certain calls. And I think that's pretty important. Like, you have to know your people so that way you know how to help them when something goes wrong. So that would be a characteristic of a good leader, is that you know who's working for you. And it doesn't matter if you're a sergeant, lieutenant, captain, chief, like, you need to know who's under you and what their main personality characteristics are so that way you can help them. And then I guess poor would be micromanaging. Like I said, not knowing your people, uh, just being lackadaisical in nature, whether it comes to training, policing your staff, stuff like that.
Interesting. Being a chief. So I was talking to a guy the other day, actually last week, when I was in Georgia at the gang investigation conference. Um, I was talking to a guy from an agency, and he's like, "Yeah, every time I talk to like a chief and I tell him about how I can support their agency, and like I have this fucking bloodhound that can smell a human like 5 miles out. Like I can track somebody for like 5 miles plus." He's like, "Your Malinois can't do that shit, but my bloodhound can." And we started talking and joking around about like the biters versus the sniffers. One's got the brains, one got the bronze.
Sure.
So um, really, the brain is the nose. But anyway, so he tells the Chiefs, and I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "I want you to think about this for a second from the perspective, like let's empathize with your chief real quick, the chiefs you talk to real quick, like." And by the way, there is going to be a question that follows up after this for you. I was like, "Hey man, like if you tell that guy, about how you can offer that service to his agency, I mean, do you think he's going to remember when he gets back from, he also has like this software he has to buy. He has guys he has to pay. He has people, politicians to answer to. Do you think he's going to remember to tell his uh, supervisors who actually supervise, like the sergeants, right? The sergeants, lieutenants who oversee the ground troops and stuff like that. Or are you talking to the right person to do that? And with that stated, because there is a chain of command and the chain of command has to worry about certain things, is there a process then that you have ever thought of for the chief to be like, hey, this would help the chief understand the guy's boots on ground better if they had X process? I mean, have you ever thought of that? Like, what does that look like?
Sure. So in regards to leadership, in that chief not necessarily being able to talk to or remember certain things, but each person in leadership has to police themselves. Like, you have to really ask yourself, can I do better? And if the answer is yes, like, what can you do better? But
Always.
I'm working on a in-service training that I'm developing in regards to resiliency training for first responders that I will
Cool.
be able to provide. Um, hopefully as an in-service training to the local agencies around here. So that is one thing that I personally could do to take the load off of some of the leadership. But like I said, it's up to every member in leadership and every officer to police themselves.
Interesting. You know what I thought of when I was asking you the question? I feel like would it be cool if there was like quarterly reviews with a chief on like, hey, lieutenant or sergeant, what's going on with your guys? Like, what's happening in their lives? Just like a personal update, right?
Sure.
Hey, just quarterly. Like, hey, what's going? When's is a birthday coming up? It's a son's birthday or a daughter's birthday or a wife's birthday coming up for any of our guys. Like, what's going on in their lives? How can we help those guys out from that perspective, right?
Yeah,
And it's actually not the
absolutely.
chief. It's not the chief getting that done. It's actually the sergeants, lieutenants getting that done, and it's being passed up to the chief, so the chief can have at least some kind of idea because he has a million other things he has to worry about too. But just something like that, like relationship management happening down at the bottom and then fed up to the top that way.
Correct. Yeah, and that would definitely take a lot of load off of each officer actually individually because they'll do reports to grade you essentially on how you've been handling your calls, but they don't
Yeah,
actually dive into why you handled that call a specific way that
check
you
that
might.
out.
What's that?
I said, check that out. That's important. Like,
Right.
what's going on in your personal life? Why were you so stressed out right now?
Right. Like, why did you tweak out
Mhm.
on that person? Like, was there something
Yeah.
going on with you? So
Yep.
when they do those reviews for your work performance, they should also do a check in with you to see how you're personally doing with things. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That would be fantastic. Honestly. I wonder. I think there are actually some. There's an agency near where actually an agency where I grew up, Voorhees, New Jersey. Um, there's an officer there. He is like mental health for their agency is taken so seriously. And Billy Walsh is actually, I think he's Captain Walsh now. Um, he started an internal program that does check-ins on their guys, like I think like every month, like he checks in with them. He has a conversation with them, like, yo, what's going on in your personal life? What's going on with you? What can I help you out with? What can we do for you? Like that's fantastic. That's
yeah,
giving a
that's
shit,
huge.
giving a shit about your guys, making it normal for the guys to talk to each other and communicate with each other. Like that's how you prevent, burnout. That's how you prevent suicide, right? That's how you prevent potentially a guy going off the handle and like hurting, a community member,
Yeah, I love that. Those, even to like just meet with your leadership at least maybe once every few months, I believe that would be huge. And it's nice to know that there are agencies out there that do that. But
Voorhees is fantastic. They're one of the best agencies I've ever seen in terms of like operations wise. They're unreal.
sure.
Sorry, keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fantastic. No, I just believe that that would be helpful just to have those meetings every so often, just so that way the officer also feels seen and heard, which is huge because a lot of us we internalize a lot of shit. So it's nice to try to get it out.
When you do internalize, how do you get through it?
Um, like my coping
You
mechanism.
personally, yeah. How do you get through it?
So the way that I cope is typically through breath work. There's
Cool.
tactical breathing, stuff like that. Um, Reframing my thoughts is huge. And when you think in a positive manner, you attract positive.
Yeah.
Um, so it's definitely those two things that really pull me out when I'm super dark. Sometimes I'll journal. Meditation's big. I know some officers are into tapping. I don't really have a lot of education on that. Yep. Where you're tapping the meridian points and like saying like a positive affirmation. I love
Uh-huh.
affirmations. Those are my favorite. Um, but that's usually how I deal with things.
That's cool. I'm happy you said that. I try to preach that on this as much as possible that Gratefulness. I mean, I like to choose gratefulness. I love gratefulness because that's thinking positively, positive affirmation. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful that I have this skill set. I'm grateful I have my dog literally underneath me. I had to stand up and move over so he has more room. It's his world.
Sure.
So I'm grateful that I'm able to pursue every day. Like in terms of like building a life that I dreamed of, kind of thing. Running
Mhm.
companies, but I struggle with that because like, damn, like I'm in a really rough situations sometimes where it's like I'm managing so many things at once. It's like I'm so stressed out. And then I have to go like, wait, dude, you asked for this. You
Mhm.
literally did this. You did this to yourself, right?
Those
Nobody's
growing
doing
pains, though.
it is growing pains. That's right.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing to be a part of. It's a fantastic thing to be a part of, actually. The fact that I get to carry so much burden on my shoulders is an honor. I get to do that so other people don't have to feel it too much, right?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
I'm grateful that I am able to handle it. I'm grateful that I can carry it. And I'm also grateful that I have people that I can talk to about it openly. Because I also made a promise. Every single person I talk to, pretty much, I promise them I will, if I say I am going to do something, that is almost better than it. That is a contract better than blood in most cases. Like if I give you my word, I'm going to complete that task. I
Mhm.
don't give a shit. That's why I am. So because that's all you are is words. And you said something interesting. You said that you like positive affirmations. It's your favorite thing to
Yeah,
do.
that is my
Yeah,
favorite.
it's your favorite thing to do. So being that it's your favorite thing to do, I find that to be the greatest argument and supporter of an argument that I constantly make to people. Like, yo, your words matter.
Yeah.
When you say shit, it matters what
Mhm.
you're saying. It does because you are your thoughts. That is real.
1000%. Yeah.
Like not from the cheesy like you are your thoughts. No, 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 no. Let's take it to a deeper level. Like if you are inside of your mind, if you are communicating with yourself, that means you are using words to communicate to yourself. So
Mhm.
that is who you are and how you are training your own mind, right? So, and again, it's not the cheesy bullshitty like I got it tattooed on my body like you are your thoughts, like that kind of shit. I mean for real,
Yeah.
philosophically, the way your brain is firing, the wiring in your brain is moving matters. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the word selfish?
Selfish? Well, I think it carries a negative connotation around it, like a negative belief system. But in order to take care of your person, yourself, you have to be selfish. Like, I'm
Can
very
I
selfish with my time.
can I give you a reframing because you also like to reframe thoughts.
Yeah, go for it.
I want to give you a reframing on that. You are not selfish in doing that. You are
Correct.
selfless in doing that. The
Selfless.
reason why you're selfless in doing that is because you're doing it for others.
Right.
We're not going to do pride with her, Mark. I just met her. Pride is a word that I am anti across the board. And I'm slowly actually getting a lot of people to be like, oh, wait a second. Pride is terrible. You never want pride. Proud of and pride, different things. We're not doing that discussion with her right now, Mark. I'm doing that. But selflessness is I think there's been so much damage done by telling people that they need to be selfish because there's no stopping selfishness. You're like, where does it end? You have to, no, no, no. You're being selfless when you work out. I'm being selfless when I work out. I'm being selfless when I eat healthy, when I have my dog near me because it makes me better, right? I'm better for you. I want to communicate better with you, Ashley. And that's why I'm working out. That's why I'm eating healthier. You're serving your community better by taking care of yourself. You are
Oh, yeah,
actually being
absolutely.
selfless in that act, right? Like selfishness, I don't think you're selfish. I think you're very, very selfless in what you're doing. Like that's the reframing because that's a negative, very negative. Selfish people are not good people. I don't like
Sure.
selfish people,
And
you
that's
know?
where I think that that word specifically carries so much negativity.
So
So I
much
do
weight
see how selfless sounds better.
is
But my
better.
brain, yeah, no, but my brain is like, oh, it's like I don't think of it as aggressively as that, but selfless does make sense.
Yeah. That's why selfish, that's right. It's a toxic poison. It slowly begins to poison the person's mind. I think it's been doing more damage to our, I genuinely believe it's doing more damage to our society, that thought alone. But the reason why it's so easy to comprehend, right? It's so easy to comprehend what's selfish. I'm selfish. I'm putting myself first. I'm going to work out. No, you are selfless by doing that. You are selfless in having that time for yourself because you need to take a step back for yourself to be better for people the next day, right?
Sure.
It's a selfless act to do that, and it's a good thing. It's good to be selfless. It's never good to be selfish. But that goes right to your point of like reframing and like learning deeper about words and definitions and things, right? Like that is I'm actually very happy you said that because it really does prove without a shadow of a doubt we are our thoughts. You
Yeah.
know, like it is,
Hmm.
and you have to protect your brain as much as you protect other people's brains. You know,
Right.
you have to.
Right.
Like I said to my, I guess she's my niece, right? I mean, I'm not married to her yet, but like I have. So we had a little baby over here the other day, right? So we're
Hmm.
helping out with Lisa's niece, and uh, I guess it's instead. No, yeah, Lisa's niece, my niece. Okay, anyway, sorry, my brain just took a shit on family tree stuff,
You're doing
but
great.
yeah, yeah thank you. So um, I said to the little girl, I was like, with her little Leilani, I was like, oh damn, I was getting to a point, and I completely forgot it because I got caught up in the social thing in the family tree. Damn. It
I
was
get
so
ADD too, so I'm not judging.
Oh my god, I've been hit in the head so many times in my life, like, it is just unreal, and also ADHD for sure, um, but yeah, just being selfless. That's what it was. I was like, hey, like you work on you. Like you go ahead and work with those blocks, girl. You be selfless. You know what I mean? Like you learn right now. You know, so it's and it really does take it to that level of like her learning, her focusing on those blocks and listening and like doing this. She's being selfless and learning all this stuff because she'll be able to give back later to society around her. You know,
Correct.
like you you raising the best child and giving as much to your child as possible is a selfless act for the greater community around you because
Hmm.
you care so much about your family and raising a good family and a good person. It actually has measurable effects for other people in the community around us. That's why I think selfish is such a destructive lie that we have told ourselves in society for so long. It is just, we have to expand our minds beyond that, if you will. That little painting back there, right there, expand your mind. So yeah, like it's just words matter for sure, big time.
Yeah, you definitely helped to flip my perspective on just the word. Like
Yeah,
I was saying, like for me, that one word doesn't hold that much toxicity within me. But I do understand what you're saying and how that all correlates together.
yeah. I mean, here's the thing about toxicity and toxic words. I'll give you a story from real life. It's actually pretty cool. Historical story. So the art of war was used as a dramatic effect, actually, to a great success when Genghis Khan, Genghis, if you will, came in and took over all of China. And there was actually Chinese leadership inside of that still stayed on his, board. What they did is they started to slowly poison the different leadership from the Mongolian Empire, slowly poison, not right away. They would slowly poison them, weaken them, sicken them, and they weren't as good leaders because they were sick. So who had to take over leadership for them, being pretty much alone? And that, the Chinese leaders that were already there. So they started to slowly take back their entire nation, literally, slowly. That's it. And they did it through slow poisoning. So
Sure.
it's things like protecting yourself from negative words like that, incredibly important. I think we need to, as humans, recognize that we are, this actually I was trying to say before about Leilani, we are meat bags. We are our brain, right? This is a
Mhm.
meat bag over top of a brain. That's all we are. We're a brain and synapses. That's what we actually are. These are cameras in the front of my eye. Like my eyes are cameras for me to see it and process more. But there's other sensories, but you have to protect your brain from the negative thoughts that are being thrown to it.
That is
100%.
correct. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, we are our thoughts. We are thoughts. We are words. So that's why it's so powerful. You can overthrow an entire nation with words.
Sure.
Oh man, Ray Krause. I like turtles. Hang on, let's see what he said. One thing that always confused me is this saying that you need to be selfish before you can be selfless, which I don't agree with. Completely agree. Completely agree with that, Mark. I don't understand that either. That makes no sense. That is actually the problem, right? Like it is, you can't go from being ultra toxic to, all right, now I'm going to be selfless and give back. No, man, it's just a part of you. You have to be selfless the whole time. I totally agree with you, brother. Um, and we'll get into pride, and you're going to flip over on pride too one day. Pride, you never want it. I never want it. I have to give up. You know, I can be proud of you. I'm very proud of you, Ashley. I mean, like hearing your story and like where you came from, unbelievable. You
Sure.
know,
Thank you.
actually, question for you: do you think your journey towards becoming a police officer and the struggles that you had to go through made you formidable enough to become a good officer? Arguably, that you are a good officer. I'm taking a guess. It sounds like you are.
Taking it that you're not a POS.
Yeah, taking it. You're not a piece of shit. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I don't know. By going through all of my setbacks, it has allowed me to build that resiliency, that better mindset. So, like, healing is not linear. And that's like a big thing for me is that there's always these grooves, these mountains, these highs, these lows. And by building up that resilience for myself, that grit, it has allowed me to better adapt to people on the streets. It allows me to be more sympathetic in nature and understand what actually people are going through,
Fantastic.
stuff along those lines. But
That does make a lot of sense. Here we got a question: Glock or Sig Sauer? That's my question.
I do like SIGs.
Why do you like Sigs?
I don't know. That's a story for another time. But I mean, to be quite honest, I
Yeah,
am not. What?
I said yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I am not like a huge gun person. That
That's okay.
sounds so weird because I'm in law enforcement, right? But it's just not my niche. I do like them, but I would not be able to hold like a 40-minute conversation on firearms.
Neither can Ray, by the way. Ray has no idea what he's even saying. Ray just shows up and he thinks he's gonna do something with a gun. Probably he's learning too right now.
Proud.
I'm calling him. He's one of my really good friends. I'm just calling him out.
See, you're
Uh,
never alone. There you go.
that's right. That's right. Oh, and what did I say earlier about even like you have to be brutal to each other? If you're not brutal to me, then I'm not even here for it, right? How are we even friends?
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, we also over here on Instagram, Gina, who is a fire team leader inside of Project Refit. She said, Ashley would love to connect. Great convo, James. So Gina would like to connect with you. If you're cool with it, could I connect you
Yeah.
to Gina?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So Gina's actually doing we are brothers. So Gina, being that she's a fire team leader, she's actually launching a local fireside chat in her community, through Project Refit. And it's the first one is going to be an all female service member invited fire, literally like a bonfire to come hang
Oh,
out
that's
together.
cool.
That's right. To talk to each other, bringing back community, bring back culture, right? Make
Sure.
what's old new again. And she is going to be doing that for her local community in Indiana. So,
I
um,
love that. And to play
yes.
off of that, I created a Facebook group called Bear Wellness for First Responders. It's about getting first responders back into nature. Um,
Oh my
because I
god.
love, so I like it kind of like goes with that.
That's right.
And I just created it like a couple weeks ago, so it's kind of funny how that just tied together. But
Yeah.
manifesting. So,
That's fantastic. So we do you know that we do retreats and stuff like that too?
no, but now I do.
Now you do. So Project Refit is more than just this here, like this pod. This is actually one small part of a very big machine. This machine continues to grow every day, and I can't even believe that we're a part of it. We actually have our whole approach is to rebuild community. That's what we're really focused on. And we're really trying to rebuild community among first responders, veterans, and their families, because we recognize the support here at home. Because when guys come back from combat and war, or even get out of the military in general, we have to be in combat and war. But turtles live in nature. Yes, Ray. Damn it. So he's also one of the funniest dudes you'll ever meet in your life. I love Ray. I have so much respect for him. I'll actually tell a quick story about Ray, why I like him so much. He doesn't even know this, I don't think. But anyway, it just shows how good selfless people can be. So we have these this pipeline: outreach, support, and activate. So we outreach to people through things like this, like FML. Like I'm talking to you, Ashley. You're getting to know us, you're getting to know me. If you ever need any support beyond this, you ever want to talk and collaborate on, like, hey, I have a question about doing this for resiliency, like, what do you guys do? What do you guys have around that? Like, I would love to talk to you about that, right? Love the battle plan to make you better and help other people out in your community. That is something that would be amazing. Then we have the support section. Let's say that, Ashley, you and I are talking, you like what we're doing here, and you're like, you know what? Like, I've been actually struggling recently and I could get away and I need to, like, go out in the nature. I think that'll do a lot of good for me. I'll be great, Ashley. We have a retreat coming up on this date. Do you want to come? And
Mhm.
you're like, let's go. Yeah. And we pay for the whole thing, right? We pay for everything for you. Um, so getting you out there to do that would be, then you heal, right? A little bit. You're not
Yeah,
not like, one drop of a hat, like, oh, I'm good forever. No, it doesn't work that way, because then we have to activate you. Now you have
sure.
a resense of purpose, refinding of purpose. Now let's get you activated back up to the outreach portion and do what Gina's doing. Why don't you start a fireside chat locally in your community, bring other first responders out, get to know them, support them in the best way that you can, get resources in your area. If you need to funnel a guy to go get therapy or something like that, you can go help them go get therapy to get tools, and then they can come back to that fire and then practice what they learned in therapy, because that's what's needed. You need that community structure to practice what you learn. That
Yeah,
is the biggest gap in this nation of ours, this beautiful nation that we have here. Community and culture needs to be revitalized, right?
yeah,
So that
absolutely.
is what we are trying to do here. Is we're really trying to bring back what's old new. So yeah, that's it.
I like that you guys do that retreat because I decided to get out of my comfort zone, and
Cool.
next week I'm going to a retreat. It's just a day long retreat,
Cool.
um, and it's not for first responders. It is a retreat that focuses on yoga, meditation, breath
Great.
work, chakra cleansing. You know what I mean? Like all the woo woo stuff. But like I'm here for it.
Woo woo's
I
cool,
know.
man. I'm here for it. If
Yeah.
it works for you, it works for you. Let's go.
Exactly. So I'm pretty excited to go to that, and I think it's necessary because it,
Yes,
like you were saying, it does give you that little push and that revitalization to continue to do what you're already doing. It kind of resets you.
that's right. That is right. I mean, so I'm happy you said woo woo, because even in the woo woo realm, that's still, when I hear woo woo, I think spirituality, right? Some
Yeah,
type
and
of
that's what I do.
spirituality.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? That is a human being experience.
yeah,
If you don't have some type of spirituality in your life, something, like God, like getting in touch with yourself, like whatever it might be, right? If you don't have that component in your life, I think you are going to struggle tremendously. In fact, I don't even think, I know people, it might not be right away, might in the early years of your life, like when you're a teenager and your young 20s and maybe even early 30s. But if you don't start to wake up to, like, wait a second, this really isn't about me. Like this,
mhm.
I'm a part of a much bigger ecosystem and a much bigger, everything. Oh my God, dude.
I was like, he's gonna think I'm smiling at him, but I'm just really reading the comments.
It's hilarious. Yeah, no, I know you're not laughing at me. That's definitely funny as shit. Um, and I can't even read that right now out loud, but I will. I actually do want to share a story about him, um, but genuinely, that is so important to the human experience. You're right. And go do the woo woo shit. Go. That's awesome. What are you looking forward to most from the woo woo experience? What are you looking forward
um,
to?
I definitely am most interested in the sound bathing and the chakra cleansing because I know how
Sound
music
bathing.
affects me,
Okay.
um, and how it changes my mood, how it can like make me feel better. So I actually have a playlist that's called Positive Affirmations, and I'll usually listen to that first thing in the morning or if I'm struggling with something
Hell yeah.
because it's that positive influence that I need to reshift my brain. But
That's great.
so the sound, I'm kind of interested in that because it's supposed to be good for like anxiety, stuff like that. The
Yeah, that makes sense.
chakras, I don't really know much about chakras, but I can tell you that my throat one is blocked. So if they
Very
could
cool.
reset, that would be cool.
You can feel it. You can feel it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What that's anxiety, right? Like a lot of people when they get
Yeah.
like super anxious, they can feel it like right here.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
a big thing for me, my jaw stays tight. Like it's almost like you're grinding your teeth, but you're not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's when I know, like, once I bring self awareness to the fact, like, oh crap, my jaw's been tight for 2 weeks now. Maybe I need to switch what I'm doing to try to relax a little bit more. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. And self-awareness, mindfulness, being in the moment, feeling your body where you're at. You can
yeah.
move it away. Like literally. So what I do, me personally, because I haven't shared any strategies I do, when I start to feel really upset, like I'll tell you, last week was one of the hardest weeks I've had in my entrepreneurial journey in my life. It was the news that I got, the thing that I had to deal with was literally horrific. And when it comes to businesses, so um, especially when you've grown and built so much on your own with a team, not on your own, but like you put so much time of your own into it, right? That's all I'm trying to, all the time that I put in, and you learn something came in to be bad. But anyway, in that moment when I was getting the news, I could feel my body. Like
Mhm.
I'm redhead. I'm already running hot, right? I am the sun. So like I can feel I'm getting flush and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Oh man, wait a second." I put the guy on mute. I was like, I breathed it out. I'm listening still to him. And I literally go into a meditative state. I actually love to meditate. I love to
Yeah.
meditate. It is so calming. I loved,
Mhm.
even amidst that chaotic moment, I was able to keep a semi clear head because I was just in the moment, right? I'm like, all right, I'm still alive. I'm good. I'm here. My body feels good. I'm just getting a little hot right now. Like I'm working through it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I talk slower and calmer to myself like this in my mind. I can feel the vibration of my throat, all of it. And I breathe it out. And I'm like, all right, unmute. I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then we start like talking through it again. You know what I mean? Like that is, I just got like so relaxed just now, even doing that. But like that is like so important to do. And
Yeah.
I wish guys in particular, men in particular, would take that more seriously because I think we have been lied to about
Mhm.
what mental health is. I love being able to control my mind. Am I
Correct. Yeah.
always able to
And
do
that's what
that?
it is. Yeah.
I am not always able to do that, but I
Mhm.
fucking love being able to control my mind. That
Yes.
is like everything to me. So, when you hear that process that I went through, is that something you've ever done for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where like those tactical breaths for me come in, where I just take those slow, deep breaths and I get into that meditative state, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Um, and I just became certified as a mindfulness coach this year. So, and that was through like a yoga practice. It was
Cool.
220 some odd hours just about mindfulness and bringing yourself back to your breath. And all of that stuff just allows you to better help yourself to respond to certain situations. So it's very nice to hear that you do that for yourself because it's
Oh,
very
yeah.
important. And there is a huge stigma against men and mental health. And it's sad to see because quite honestly, working with men all the time, it's that they have more potential in them than that they see or that they don't see within themselves.
That's right.
So like the way like I observe people a lot, so if I'm watching someone get stressed, like irritated over something so small, it's just so easy to bring yourself back if you have the proper tools to do that.
100%. You can alleviate yourself from that very minor thing, but what's the deeper thing underneath that's really affecting you, right? Like what's going on, dude? So here, I'm going to give you another analogy. I want you to take back with you. Um, so your bones break, right? And they heal. How do you help a bone heal? What do you put on your body? What is it called?
A cast.
Damn right. That's right. That's right. So I want you to keep that word in your mind.
Mhm.
Now, in a play, What do you call the actors and actresses?
Cast.
A cast. So let's think about something for a second, right? So if we need to heal our mind, heal from a memory, heal from a story, you need to have the people around you that you tell that to, that you get to tell the story to, right? That's why the fires are so important. Who is your social cast that is around you that is going to help you heal that brain? Who's going to
Correct.
listen to you? Who's going to sit there and take that in with you? That's why family is so important. That's why community is so important. That's why all of that is so important, right? Like, and you could drink milk, as Ray keeps on yelling in the comments. But genuinely, like that is so crucial. Like, for example, for me, one of my favorite things to do every week, I look forward to it, is softball in the mornings. I love playing men's softball, right? I just get out there. I don't care. We are going to talk so much shit to each other and to the other team. It is unbelievable. Like, we are the worst team to play against if you don't have a sense of humor, right? Like, we are just having a great time, right? That is my way of like decompressing. It is just the best. And Ray is on my team, by the way. And it is just, you need to find that social cast that you can relax with and be calm with and talk to if you need to, and just be around, right? That is how you get through life, with the community around you. It is so crucial. So I hear they're about to start doing some drilling. I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear that?
A little bit. It kind of almost sounds like bells, to be quite honest, on my side.
Goodness gracious, that is so loud. But last minute, and we'll see we're up on our hour, and then we'll end the stream here, and you can stay on afterwards with us and with me, and we'll talk a little bit and go over everything. But I'm going to tell the story about Ray. The reason why I like Ray so much is back in high school, Ray was a fantastic baseball player, one of the best in the state. He actually got a scholarship to go to Virginia Tech to play. I think it was like maybe even a full ride or damn near close to a full ride. He turned it down to take care of his family,
Aw, good
not
job,
his
Ray.
own kids, but his brothers and his sisters, right?
Sure.
Ray did that for his family, and he's a father now. His kids, he has a wife. He is a great dad. He loves playing with his kid, paying attention to his kid, and taking care of his kids, and he lives for that. And I fucking love Ray for that. He's a great guy.
Good
So,
job, Ray.
hell yeah, more dudes like Ray in the world, and we have a great world. But um, I really enjoyed our conversation today, Ashley. I really did. If you ever want to come back on, please let me know. I bet everybody else enjoyed this too. We'd love to hear your, what did you say? I drank a ton of milk, if we were being honest. Yeah. Great, man. I love you, brother. So, I would love to hear about your experience you get back from that retreat. That would be really cool. What you learned, anything you can impart on everybody here. I would love to introduce you to Gina, learn about what she's doing over there and how she's bringing together all female first responders and veterans in her area. And if you ever want to do something like that too, I would love to support you in doing that.
Sure.
Or even with your own nonprofit, if you're doing it, if there's any way we can be a part of that and partner up in some way, I would love to do that too.
Awesome.
Because outdoors, I really think getting connected back to nature, connecting with your community again, getting outside your house, like it's everything. It's so important to have that social cast around you to heal. So, and we
Yes.
need we need some serious healing. So, I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope everybody else enjoyed our conversation today and learned some things potentially. Um, yeah, and that's it. So, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.